Hello and welcome to another useless review. We're taking a look at Codex Chaos Knights, and this codex here is the one currently available in the Chaos Knights army set. And right off the hop, I mean, this feels more like the collector's edition, as there are no logos or fonts or anything like that on the cover. So, for everybody out there who's interested in the collector's editions of books, again, another reason to pick up this box set, really. I don't think anybody out there is, I mean, people are either going to buy it or they're not, right? I mean, people are fired up about it or they're not, right? So either way, the back is just pretty straightforward, just a little bit of art, and it has some sort of saying on the back here. It's mottos and such, right? It's knights. It's knights. It's because you have the Imperial Knights, chivalry, stuff like that. Chaos Knights, not so much. Guys who abandoned chivalry or their view of chivalry has shifted. That's the real deal right there. So anyway, Chaos Knights. The contents are page 3, introduction. And then it gets into the Chaos Knights, gives you a whole bunch of background material, a bunch of lore, the dark nobility, the corruption of chivalry, iconoclast houses, all that stuff. Then by about page 38, you get into the showcase, so all the pretty pics. Then, of course, by page 52, you get into the rules. And in the rules, you get the combat patrol, battle forged rules, detachment abilities, the dread households, and then it lists off House Herpetrax, House Lucaris, House Chimere, House Vectrex, House Comentis, and then House Corvax, and then Fellbonds, Stratagems, Army Rules. In the Army Rules, it's Favor of the Dark Gods, Warlord Traits, Warp Storm Discipline, and Relics. Match play rules by about page 80, and it has the chapter approved rules. And then you have Crusade rules, the Eightfold Path to Damnation, and it gives you all the fun Crusade rules. Now, for everybody out there who has been, following along with any of the shorts I've been making, or they've been following along to the Warhammer community, I imagine there's been plenty of previews and such, so be mindful of that, right? For anybody who's interested, who's like, well, what's in the book? Like what kind of rules are we dealing with here with Chaos Knights? Quite a bit. Then we get into the data sheets by page 96, and we get the Harbingers of Dread data sheets, being War Dog Executioner, War Dog Stalker, War Dog Carnivore, War Dog Brigand, War Dog Huntsman. And then for the Knights, we have Knight Despoiler, Knight Desecrator, Knight Rampager, Knight Abominant, and Knight Tyrant. Then we get into the war gear, weapon profiles, we get into the points values, and then rules reference, glossary, and reference by page 112. So, 112 pages of Chaos Knight goodness. And oh my goodness. Introduction. Hail, Scion of Damnation, and prepare to take your rightful place upon the Warp Throne. From there, armed with dangerous knowledge contained within this tome, the galaxy awaits your conquest. Welcome to Codex Chaos Knights, within which you will find the fell histories of fallen nobles and the corrupted knight suits they pilot to battle as they further the will of the dark gods. Yeah, I'm in. Just off that introduction, I'm in. So lots of pretty art, as one would expect from a codex. I'd imagine this book is probably no different than the book that'll have, the Warhammer logos and, the text, the fonts all over them. Corruption of what's dark nobility, and then corruption of chivalry, iconoclast houses, infernal houses. Better put those fires out. And some story time stuff. I like these kinds of articles within the books. They feel like ancient scrolls or lost reports. We see it in like the Tyrant Codex. We see it not so much in the Eldar Codex. Although the fun one for the Eldar Codex would be like if it was written on stone, or it's like a picture from stonework or something like that. Just an idea. If anybody else out there who makes these decisions is watching. We've got the Dread Blades. Very, very cool. Lots of pretty art. Heraldry of the Fallen. Oh, it gives us like a little breakdown of like what their heraldry is and stuff. I think that's pretty useful for a lot of painters out there. Knowing where to place things and what it means when placing stuff. And of course, when we're talking about heraldry, right? I mean, like, A lot of old medieval European nations would have, obviously heraldry to, obviously identify each other and stuff like that. And so it's obviously following suit with that, of course. So, yeah, basically you can pretty much make up any heraldry you want, especially within the realms of Warhammer 40,000, and just basically, make up crap and, have sorts of all crazy kind of monsters and stuff like that on the covers. First one is House Lucerus? Strike first, strike often, I guess is their house motto. They're the ones with the blue and the bifurcated blue and white or beige, whatever it is, with like kind of a red serpent or whatever as their house icon. Yeah, it's like a red serpent is their house icon. House Herpetrax, which is a little serpent with a crown. We bow to none. It's kind of interesting that Chaos Knights would adhere to, their heraldry and their, their traditions, as it were, right? It's kind of interesting. Anyway, Herpetrax, I still laugh at the name. Although, yes, I know many of you explained it to me, but yeah. Like the etymology of it, right? So anyway, they got a really cool green and bone or beige color scheme. House Chimere. Through flames lies the path to victory. And they're the ones with the red and it's like a fire-breathing serpent dragon thing. It almost looks like Legio Metallica almost, but with no chevrons or anything like that. It's pretty darn cool. House Corvax, of course it's a bird. Extinguish the light of hope. Oof. There's no mystery where you stand when that's your house motto. Extinguish the light of hope. Good God, that's not the motto of a somebody who's going to look out for people, right? For the innocent. No, we're gonna blow them all away. Anyway, it looks like they're what, black and a bone, black and white color scheme with the birdie. I mean, it kind of makes sense that their color scheme is black, right? House Vectrex. Duty is eternal. Now see, that sounds almost like an Imperium one, right? And then their color scheme is the one with the black and green, the really saturated green. It's pretty cool. What's their symbol? It's like a gear with a sword. Yeah, even the symbol for them looks still like a Mechanicus Imperial, symbol. Like this could just as easily be an Imperial symbol. And even duty is eternal. I mean, these guys don't sound like too far off from being off the path of chaos kind of thing. Next one is House Cometus. Oh, it's Cometus? Comentus? Anyway. The honorless are our prey. Again, I mean, these kind of sound a bit like, like Imperial things. And then their icon looks like a horned head of some sort, a horned skull with a gear in the mouth. They got the gold and red color scheme, like red with the gold trim. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of like that too. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's much of a stretch to see that I'm kind of drawn to like red color schemes. And then we get into Chronicles of Terror, the Gilded King, Hero and Sire of Doom. It's one of the big tanky knights. The one with he almost looks like a miniature warlord titan, right? Yeah, there's all sorts of lore and such. I think it's really kind of fascinating. Now, I never paid attention to the knights previously. Being, an avid Eldar collector, or Eldari collector, I tend to not bother looking at other stuff. But yeah, I mean, these are pretty darn cool looking models. I definitely can see a lot of these things making a comeback on the tabletop, especially, right on the heels of a brand new Codex for everything. But yeah, it's even got like a Chaos Knight versus some Eldar stuff here. Hee. Pretty pics. Lots of pretty pics. The war dogs are cool. I like the actual dog head one. That's actually really cool. The single eye one with the horns coming at the bottom, that reminds me of something. I can't think of what it is though. Then the Knight Abominus. I like that. I like the birds on the top. I'm sure we've all seen plenty of pictures of these knights. Yeah, that's which one I'm talking about, the one with the big tentacles, and he's got the birds or vultures, whatever, on his head, or carrying around his carapace. I wonder if you can put those anywhere, like, or like if you can even put them on other, you know, war dogs or anything like that. Or is this particular to this particular build? Like, is this just for this dude? I don't know. I'm gonna say no. Ooh, that's a fun one. Bright yellow. I have no idea what color, what house that is supposed to be. Now, I wondered as well, with all the icons and such with these knights, and if you don't use all the icons or all the weapon options, can you, import them to other knights? So pick up like a regular Imperial Knight and then chaosify it. Or, what would be really cool is if the sprue could be made available separately. Like if this is all one, I can't even remember now. We did the unboxing a little while ago, well, as of filming this, but yeah. It would be cool though if the sprue was sold separately. Then we get into the rules. The rules have us looking at Battleforge rules, Army rules, Match Play rules, Crusade rules, data sheets, war gear points, and rules reference. And I think there's plenty of information out there and breaking down on, how these are going to perform, or speculatively how they're going to perform on the tabletop and such. Yeah, Chaos Knights, Detachment Abilities, Traitorous Lances. Yeah. Fallen Hero, Towering Foe, Traitorous Ambitions. Iconoclast Households, Conquer Without Mercy. Oof. Infernal Household, Demonic Surge. In each of your command phases, each model with this Traitorous Ambition can use Demonic Surge. If the model uses Demonic Surge, you must do one of the following. You must do one of the following. Inflict a mortal wound on a model and roll a d3 on the table below to determine the rule that applies to the model until the start of your next command phase. Inflict d3 mortal wounds on this model and select one result from the table below to apply to this model until the start of your next command phase. Then, of course, the D3 is Demonic Hunger, Demonic Fortitude, and Demonic Power. Interesting. So like the last one, Demonic Power, basically you get to add one to your wound rolls. Handy. Definitely handy on, kind of knight-on-knight type of combat. Having that slight edge. But I'm sure there's probably an Imperial equivalent to that. And then you got your Household Bonds. All Chaos Knights units with this ability and all the models in them gain a household bond so long as the detachment contains at least 3 models, including Dreadblade models, when you muster your army, and every unit in their detachment, excluding Dreadblade units, is from the same Dread household. If your Dread household does not have the associated household bond, you must instead select a Fell bond for them, as described on pages. This allows you to customize the rules for your Dread household. The dreaded abilities are, the bubble range. Yeah, dread abilities affect units with dread range. Dread range is 12 inches at the start of the battle. Dreaded abilities are unaffected by rules that affect aura abilities and vice versa. That's very, very cool. Okay, so as long as you're, you're basically a battle forge type of force, right? The dread households. Traitorous Ambition. If a dread household detachment owes allegiance to an iconoclast or infernal household, it can gain a Traitorous Ambition as described on page 55. Household Bonds, Warlord Traits, Stratagems, Relics of Tyranny. That's very, very cool. Yeah, like there's a lot here. Surprisingly, considering that it's the army itself is what? A knight with the Chaos Sprue, War Dogs with the Chaos bits, right? Like it's not a very varied variation of a lot of models in the army, but I don't think, like how many different knights do you really need? I mean, other than I guess like the big guy with all the guns on top, and yeah, I guess there are more knights these days, right? Then we get into the special rules for the Dread households. I'm not going to go into everything on each household. Basically, you know what? I'm just going to give you the little quote above. The scions of House Herpetrax disdain the Imperium as a weak and bloated sham. After all, What need have they to huddle within the waning light of the Emperor when they already draw so much strength from other darker places? That's House Herpetrax. That's pretty cool. House Lucerus? Anyway. House Lucerus prize decisive action and versatile strategy. They overwhelm their enemies with lightning raids, cunning feints, and sudden devastating mass assaults. This is an arrogant and powerful house, high in the regard of the greatest heretic warlords. So House Lucerus does not mess around. When I'm saying Lucerus, I almost sound like it's almost like Lou Gehrig. But anyway. House Chimere, once known for their nobility and unswerving faith, House Chimere have become maddened scourge upon the worlds of the Imperium. Where once fought paragons of chivalric virtue, now they are only monsters driven to insanity by the need for revenge. Interesting. House Vectrex. The House Vectrex, unquestioning obedience to the commands of the traitorous Legio Mortis, is the ultimate expression of virtue. Eyes open, they stride ever further into damnation, all the while believing that the boons of the dark gods are but just rewards for their loyalty. Yeah, that's the one with the gear and the sword. It looks like an Imperial logo. Like it doesn't look chaos to me at all. They don't look chaos. House Cometus. This dread household willingly invites the entities of the warp to possess their mortal forms, the better to channel the might of the dark gods. So empowered, yet ultimately damned, they hunt their loyalist counterparts with redoubled and desperate fervor. Fervor? I can read. House Corvax. House Corvax was founded through the diabolic sundering of the loyalist House Raven. It is from their formerly revered, now despoiled speed that the Knights of House Corvax march to war upon the Imperium in the name of the Dark Master who brought about their fall. That's pretty cool. Then the Dread households, you get the Fellbonds, Iconoclast household Fellbonds, bold Tyranids, frenzied invaders, infamous heredity, learned idolaters, lopping predators, precision cruelty. What's precision cruelty? The fallen nobles of the Dread household are masters of finding the enemy weak points and exploiting them without mercy. Each time a model with this Fellbond makes a ranged attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack. That's pretty cool. That's pretty darn cool, actually. Prideful Wrath and Worthy Offerings. Very, very cool. Inferno Household Fellbonds, Bound Vassals, Dark Forging, Merciless Tormentors, Geists of Ruin, Hellforge Construction, Biomechanical Fusion, Unhallowed Inscriptions, and Warp Vision. What is Warp Vision? Ensorcelled Censors, say that 10 times fast. Bestow limited witch sight upon the fallen nobles, allowing them to track their victims' soul spores. Soul spores? Each time an attack is made by a model with the Fellbond, the target does not receive the benefits of light cover against that attack. Interesting. That's pretty cool, considering that, some armies, like, say, for example, Eldar, if they're playing with a lot of Rangers, whatever, and who benefit, largely from cover and such. I mean, pretty much every army these days now, but, yeah. Just taking off some of that armor save, especially when you're attacking with, like, medium to heavy weapons, right? Rather than just, big honking, destroyer type weapons. I call them destroyer type weapons because, when we're talking about these bigger scales, I often revert back to, the lingo from Apocalypse, right? Anyway, stratagems, whole bunch of stratagems. The Knights Army, Chaos Knights Army set comes with the stratagems. So again, like I covered in the unboxing, it's an all-in-one, it's an army in a box. It's an army in a box. It's a Knight, War Dogs, Codex, data cards. I think it's kind of cool. It's a one-stop shop kind of thing. Anyway, stratagems. Break their lines, hungry for combat. Pack hunters, skies of fire. Murder bliss. I like the name of that, murder bliss. That's getting added to my repertoire. Murder bliss. Okay, well, what's murder bliss? Use this stratagem in the fight phase when the Chaos Knight Slaanesh model from your army is selected to fight. If that model is with engagement range of one or more enemy units that contain 6 or more models, until the end of that phase, add 1 to the model's attack characteristic. If one or more of those enemy units contains 11 or more models, until the end of that phase, add 2 to the model's attack characteristic instead. So basically, if he's getting attacked by hordes of stuff, yeah, he just ups his game. Murder bliss. Love it. Love the name. Murder bliss. It's blissful murder. Tormented wrath. Crushed like vermin. Ooh, that's a good one too. Vengeful outcasts. See, this is why I gravitated to Chaos way back in the day. Because when I started, I was playing Space Marines and Eldar. I started collecting them, and then of course a mixed bag of like Orcs and Imperial Guard and Squats and all sorts of stuff. And then as I got rid of the Eldar and Space Marines, and I went for Chaos, and I started building up a huge Chaos army. And yeah, I had a large Chaos army for a long time. Anyway, Trail of Destruction, Unyielding Rage. And then the Epic Deed Stratagem, Titanic Duel, Beseech the Dark Gods, Abominable Constitution, Doom and Despair, Death Grip, and Spiteful Demise. Death Grip. It's got the salami grip. Anyway, and then the next one is Requisition Stratagems, Chosen by the Gods, Corrupted Heirlooms, Tyrannical Court, Arch Tyrant. Then the Strategic Ploy Stratagems, Bind the Souls of the Slain, Hunting Hounds, A Long Leash, Unleash the Hounds, Wrath Surge, Harrying Hunter, and then War Gear Stratagems, Reap and Rend, Diabolic Bulwark. Jeez Louise, like these almost sound like they're from like Marvel comics, like Stan Lee making up names for things. Infernal Aegis, Macabre Projectiles, Ravenous Terror Shades, and Sorcerous Ammunition. What is a Terror Shade? Shrieking with ghoulish hunger, demonic entities descend in a tatter-winged whirlwind to rend apart the souls of those enemies who show even a moment's fear. Use this stratagem in the morale phase. Select one enemy unit within dread range of the Terror Shades model from your army. The enemy unit must take a dread test. If that test is failed, that enemy unit suffers 1 more wound for each point by which their dread test was failed, to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds. Oof. That's actually kind of handy. I mean, like, yeah, anything with like low morale, like low leaderships, yeah, kind of in trouble. Because that dread range, I mean, that's 12 inches. That's a 12-inch bubble around the model. Favor of the Dark Gods. Oh yeah, you got to keep track of this stuff. Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about these things. Looks like there are, what is that? 15 abilities. 15 things you can buy. Or 15 categories, I should say, with 3 in each category, it looks like. Or, well, it's 3, because one is the War Dog, Abhorrent, and Tyrant class. So it has those 3. So each of the powers affects each of those classes of Knight accordingly. And it gives the power levels and the points levels. So for Khorne, you get Blood Shield, Color of Infernal Brass, and Throne Mechanicum of Skulls. Looks like Tzeentch is Pyrothrone, Cursed Rune of Fate, and Mirror of Fates. Sounds grim. For Nurgle, it's Putrid Carapace. I'm sure that's probably a toughness thing. Yeah, basically that's his saving throw. Blessings of 1,000 Poxes, Aura of Corruption. Then Quicksilver Throne for Slaanesh, Beguiling Majesty, Subjugator Machine Spirit. Subjugator. I guess they want to use the word Dominator, especially in reference to Slaanesh, I guess, right? And then the Undivided, it's Mark of the Dread Knight, Warpborn Stalker, and Blessing of the Dark Master. These are all the Pantheon Undivided. Pantheon. Warlord traits, we have 6 Warlord traits. Eager to for the kill, Harbinger of Scrap Code, Warp Haunted Hull, Knight Diabolus, Infernal Quest, and Aura of Terror. Warpstone Discipline. Your psychic powers. Looks like we got 6 on this page. Winds of the Warp, Vortex Terrors, Storm Malevolent, Cyclonic Lamentation. Geez, these are like tongue twisters, man. Corsicating Hate and Spite Squall. What's Corsicating Hate? It's a Witchfire. Has a warp charge of 6. When manifested, 18-inch range. Visible to the Psyker. Suffers D3 mortal wounds. Roll D6. 2-3, the closest enemy unit. And 6 inches. Visible to the enemy unit. Suffers a mortal wound. On a 4+, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. Jeez Louise. Oh, it's a bit like, kind of almost like Executioner for Eldar. You be a hit, and if you succeed, then you get to do a little bit more. But here it looks like you hit one unit. If somebody else is visible to it within 6 inches, and they're seeing this, I guess, on like a 2-3. Yeah, roll 1d6, and on a 2-3, specifically a 2-3, not a 1, not a 4-5-6, but a 2-3, the closest other enemy unit within 6 inches and visible to the enemy unit suffers mortal wounds on a 4+. It suffers D3 mortal wounds. Good grief. Corsicating Hate. Relics. Blasphemous Engine. Veil of Medridengard. Helm of Warpsight. Diomonus. The Teeth That Hunger. Sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song. Rune of Nactigra. Tyrant's Banner. And Bound Viridian Psychogeist. That sounds like a character from Street Fighter. Traitor's Mark, the Gauntlet of Ascension, the Twisted Mask, Panoply of Cursed Knights, Soul Raptor Swarm, and Helm of Dogs. What's a Helm of Dogs do? It adds 1 to the characteristic of the bearer. The bearer has the following ability, Helm of Dogs aura, while friendly war dog models within 6 inches of the bearer. Each time that model makes an attack, reroll a wound of 1. That's handy. Oh, I like that piece. The art piece there. Next. Big old Chaos Knight. Looking scary. So chapter approved rules gives us to purge the enemy. No mercy, no respite, and battlefield supremacy for the objectives. Progressive objectives, it looks like. And shadow operations. We'll get into crusade rules. I think these are really, really fun. Like a lot of people, they don't seem to do a lot of narrative play. It always seems like everybody's always concerned about what is good in a codex, as opposed to playing out and seeing and playing out a story, right? It's just kind of telling where people come from. Circles of Damnation. I think we've already had a look at a lot of this. I know that for anybody who wants a little bit more depth into a look at it, you can check out the Warhammer community articles on it. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff here for doing crusades and crusade relics. Man, so much stuff. Crusade army, like we're talking like 5 models for crusade army. This is probably what, 2,000 points probably. Then we get into our data sheets. Abilities, ion shields, models that have models in this unit have a 5 invulnerable save against ranged attacks. Super heavy walker and war dog squadrons. Dread test, dreaded abilities, has all those rules for that. Yeah, like this, man, there's so much stuff. Considering that, the army is only like a couple models, there's a lot of stuff here. Like it's really quite interesting how much special rules and lore go into just really a select few models. Like it's really quite interesting. And even having like a low model count, and it appears they have ways of dealing with, like being hoarded by like orcs and things like that nature, right? Harbingers of Dread, the different battle rounds, giving you different access to abilities if you're playing Doom, Despair, or Darkness. Then we get into the data sheets by page 100. War Dog Executioner, variable stat lines, has a melta-gun, heavy stubber, and autogun. Doesn't seem like he gets a lot of options. No, I guess these are like predetermined configs, right? War Dog Stalker has the Avenger Chain Cannon, multi-launcher, Havoc multi-launcher, and then the Slaughter Claw. Well, if you're going to have a claw, you might as well have a slaughter claw, right? Carnivore has the Havoc multi-launcher, Reaper, Chain Talon, and Slaughter Claw. Variable profile. The Brigand gets the Chain Cannon, Demon Breath Spear, and Havoc multi-launcher. Oh, the Demonic Breath Spear is, what is it? 30 inches. I thought it was like a flamethrower, but no. It's 30 inches. High strength, too. Huh. Have to watch out for a Brigand, I guess. Huntsman. What's he got? He's variable profile, of course. They all pretty much have the same profile, I think. He has the Demon Breath Spear, Demon Breath Melt-A-Gun, and Reaper Chain Talon. Pretty darn cool. They all explode if they die. They have Ion Shields, Harbingers of Dread, and War Dog Squadron. The Knight Despoilers, variable profile. Dragon Breath Melt-A-Gun, Reaper Chainsword, Titanic Feet, and Warp Strike Claw. And he has some options. You can swap around his weapons for, heavy Dark Flamer or heavy Stubber. Yeah. You can also give him the Havoc Missile Pod, Rune Spear Rocket Pod, or Twin Hellstorm Autocannon. Pretty darn cool. Not gonna lie, I think this is pretty darn cool. I mean, like I was, I've always kind of been maybe a little dismissive of knights and stuff like that, but yeah, these are pretty darn cool. I wonder if we'll see more like knight type of armies, like large scale armies, kind of like, in Age of Sigmar where you have like the Gargants and stuff. I wonder if we'll get something like that for like orcs, where there's just, like orky type, stomper type, Killacan type of factions, right? Eldar, back in the day, Eldar used to have that. They had the knight households. They matched the Imperial stuff, and there was like four-legged knights, and look it up. Look it up. Yeah, I'm just curious. It's interesting. What would be Tyranids though? Trigons. Trigon's kind of a knight type of size monster. Anyway, Knight Desecrator. Variable profile has the Desecrator Laser Destructor, the Heavy Stubber, Chainsword, and Titanic Feet. Seems to be standard abilities for Knights, Ion Shields, Super Heavy Walker, Harbingers of Dread. He has the Taskmaster Aura and explodes. Knight Rampager, variable profile. Are they all the same profile though? Well, attacks vary. That's pretty much it though. Yeah. Oh, and speeds. Yeah, speeds change as well. Anyway, the Rampager has the Heavy Stubber, Reaper Chainsword, Titanic Feet, and the Warp Strike Claw. He has the Ion Shield, Super Heavy Walker, Harbingers of Dread. He has a Frenzied Rampage and explodes. That's pretty darn cool. Knight Abominant. Pretty much the same profile, variable of course. He has the Heavy Stubber, the Volkite Combustor, Bale Mace. Is that the tentacle thing? Electroscourge. No, that's the tentacle thing, right? Yeah. Titanic Feet. He has the Ion Shield, Super Heavy Walker, Harbingers of Dread, and explodes. And he's also a Psyker. And he's got a higher power level than the other knights too. Yeah, by a couple power points. So he's probably a good couple 100 points more expensive than the other ones. Probably paying for that, psychic ability, right? I mean, I don't know. Knight Tyrant. Oh, he's got more wounds than everybody else. A little bit. More attacks. Way better save. Oh, because he's the Titan with the cannons on his shoulder and everything. I can't remember what that class of Titan's called. But anyway. Brimstone Volcano Lance. Ectoplasma Decimator. Geist Strike Missile, Twin Demon Breath Melt-A-Gun, Twin Desecrator Cannon, and Titanic Feet. His feet are Titanic, people. For God's sakes, he's got Titanic. And you can swap out his Volcano Lance with the Dark Flame Cannon or the Warp Shock Harpoon. And the model also has 4 of the Geist Strike Missiles, and Twin Desecrator Cannon can be replaced by 2 Geist Strike Missiles and 2 Twin Desecrator Cannons. He has the Ion Shield, Super Heavy Walker, Harbingers of Dread, and he explodes. But other than that, that's his special rules. Really with Knights, like it's not really about the crit. Well, I mean, I guess the beginning part of the book, right, has all their special rules, and you can tailor them up. So it's actually quite configurable for knights, how you bring them to the table. So I mean, we could all take a knight Abominant, but the way I play with the knight Abominant with whatever powers and such and abilities will vary the way your knight Abominant is, which is actually quite interesting. It offers up quite a bit of variability in options and how we see them. See, I typically, whenever I've seen knights on the tabletop, I've only ever played knights against knights like once or twice, and they're always kind of just standard. It was just the samesies, right? Whereas here, I mean, like, this is really quite interesting to give them all this dynamic rules that allow you to play, because you can go undivided, you can go particular chaos gods. It all depends on your weapon options, and yeah, it's really quite interesting. It's really quite interesting. So then by page 108, we get to the weapon profiles and points values. What is a Knight Tyrant? I just want to see what the cost is. Yeah. He is 2/3 the way to 1,000, basically. I don't want to say what the points values are because I don't want anybody getting mad at me. But yeah, it's got all the points. And then the glossary. The glossary is just terms and stuff. Damnation. We got to look up damnation. What's damnation? I don't know. Allegiance. What's an allegiance? But anyway, yeah, so glossary. Yeah. And then reference. Just referencing your abilities, what page numbers. And yeah, so that is it on the Chaos Knights Codex. I think this is the collector's edition. I would be surprised if this wasn't the collector's edition. And so, yeah, hopefully you guys found this one interesting. If you're excited about this stuff, by all means, check out the box. The box Chaos Knights Army set. I mean, it's everything in a box. It's a knight, war dogs, codex, data cards. It comes with this collector's edition. I don't know. Maybe this is not the collector's edition. Maybe the collector's edition is going to be a different book, and then we'll all get the one with the Warhammer logo and the text and everything like that. I don't know. I have no idea. So, but I mean, time of filming this and this being posted the day of, so we'll know then. So, I'll see you then. I'm Ron Burgundy. Big thank you to my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below. It'll take you to Patreon, where there are varying tiers of support. And a huge thank you to everybody who does. A huge thank you to everybody for their continued support. And a huge thank you to everybody who's brand new. Take care of those brushes. They'll take care of you. And I will see you guys in the next useless review. Or next video or review. One of the two. Oh, that rhymed. Poet didn't know it. No, I knew it. Okay.